Welcome everybody. Welcome to another live stream on a Thursday here. I'm going to be just painting and chatting. If you come in, feel free to ask any questions. And tonight I'll just be working on a simple still life. So without further ado, we'll just get started. It's classic lemon on a shiny pot. And what I'll do is I'll just more or less kind of scrub in the background. Get rid of some of this white. The black background. What you see here is a photo. I'm actually painting this scene from life. A little bit of variety. I create my blacks using transparent red earth and ultramarine blue. Pretty simple. That way I can go warmer and cooler. A bit more paint here. On the side, maybe we'll make this cooler up here, and as we come across, we will start making it warmer. And even though I'm just wiping all this in, I can pull some out with a rag to start indicating where I would like the upside down vase and the lemon itself. And this is just a quick wash. Get rid of the canvas, or the white anyway. And it probably goes on an angle. The wood color is just a transparent red earth. Value, getting the value is important. As soon as you add white though, it will cool off quite a bit. Just put this in as a reference. Probably not bright enough, but when we wipe this off, it'll turn a little bit lighter. I'm gonna figure we're gonna put this vase here-ish. Shadow. All right. Better. A little bit too bright. To put this in, let's see here. I'm gonna put it off a little bit to the left. Flare below here. Off. This is more or less take some of the pigment I had on there off. I'm gonna be up here somewhere. Of course, we have this shadow here, which we won't worry about. Put it in. Give a little indication of where that shadow is. I should be all this area here, a little bit here. Real general marks. Right now, big shapes, big forms. This. Put some lemon. Or yellow, lemon yellow. And generally where I want it. There's two ways we could have started this. We could have started with a sketch, or we could have just started it like this. And I vary in between. Sometimes I'll play with a sketch for a while, and sometimes I'll just go right into painting it, and it becomes a little more organic when you just paint instead of spending the time to sketch it. Right? Dark to the dark. Then we know where the lemon is, so now we can start defining where the cup of the vase is. And the lemon's there. Good way to sketch ellipses, straight lines. That way you can control it a little bit better. I've sketched many of the ellipses in my life. I'm just trying to get that shape here, come down. We'll probably make this vase a little squatter than it is. I can't be bothered to redraw it here. One thing about ellipses, if it's this shape at this position, as you come down, it'll get more round. A lot of times you'll see people end up doing something like this, and it's so wrong in perspective. Then again, if you want to do that, ahead though. But as long as you get it close enough, no one will question it. And if we were to go a little bit higher with this ellipse, it would get flatter. Shiny objects are the best things to paint, in my opinion, because you can see the shapes so well. Everything that's being reflected in it. Dark. And here. Excuse me. Hey, New Jersey. Welcome. I have a friend who is from New Jersey. But it matters. Welcome. Feel free to ask questions throughout. What I'm here for. I'm just painting. I'd be doing this anyway. Just painting these shapes. This kind of thing curves in like this. This is the fun of reflective objects. It's just finding these shapes and putting them in. And if you focus on the shapes, that's all you do, in half an hour, all of a sudden you have a finished vase or reflective object, whatever it might be. It's the most amazing thing. People always doubt that they can paint shiny objects, but you just go shape by shape. It works out every time. And as well, if you go shape by shape with anything, really, it all works out in the end. Let's see. Shape there. I'm going to go back in the shadow. Up. Right, trying to get the value. A little bit lighter value here. A little bit too light. Go back in and darken it up again. I create my black using ultramarine blue and transparent red earth. You could also use burnt sienna. We'll worry about that blue strip later. I'm just trying to get in these darks here right now, trying to get everything kind of put in. here, constant with a general value. We'll just put this in all as a general value, and we can worry about the details on top of it in a minute. Worry about the little dimples and the highlights. Be surprised how little information is really needed. The value of the wood is a little bit off. I really skip around when I paint a lot, or when I paint in general. My mind gets tired, so I'll move on. Something a little more interesting until I lose interest in that. A little bit of blue in that wood. Always value first. Make it a little bit brighter in the front. Worry about the shadows in a second. Cast shadow here. There. Big brush marks. I'm very much of an impressionist kind of style painter. Don't worry about accuracy. Well, accuracy to an extent, but I don't worry about realism, etc. That value could go a little bit more. See how that works. All right. We'll move back into the the vase. Colleen Davis, hey, welcome back. Is there a reason why you wouldn't use black instead of mixing the color? For me, black is a great choice. Don't let anybody ever tell you that black isn't a great choice. It is. Thing with black though, it is a very, very cool color. So I mean, which is okay for back here because it's kind of a cool environment. So going in straight with black will be just fine. What I love about using the ultramarine blue and the transparent red earth is I can shift it from cool to warm. And that's what I'll be doing with the background a little bit later. I'll be going more cool up here and more warm on this side. And the shadow, it's relatively cool light, so we'll go back to a little bit warmer darks. I just like to be able to control the temperature of my darks. Having said that, if you use a black, it's not very hard to change the temperature of a black. Generally, it's really cool. If you want to cool it even more, throw in a blue. If you want to warm it, throw in a red or a transparent red earth or a burnt sienna. Great question, though. Excuse me for a second. All right. We got a light gray at the top. Surface. When in doubt, I start with a warm gray. If there's ever a color you're ever in doubt of, just start with a warm gray in the correct value and go from there. If that's the... Oh, that's actually not bad value. We'll put that in. Yeah, it gets lighter in areas, but generally that's kind of what I'm looking for. Very rarely do you ever see me use curved strokes for an ellipse. Generally, it'll always be straight. I'm kind of just leaving in that yellow at the bottom here as a reflection. And here's the self. You know, if the shape of the lemon changes a little bit, that's fine. Shape of the vase changes a little bit, that's fine. All right, let's just lighten it up a bit. Around here, it gets a little bit lighter. Step by step, right? Put in a large shape, go on a smaller shape. By the end of it, all your shapes are done. Hey Susan, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. Now I'm going to start laying in some thick darks. Start off with cool. And that way, I start getting my shape of my lemon. And I'm using a, what do you want to call it? A hog's bristle brush right now to lay everything in so I can keep my edges soft. No reason to have sharp edges right off the bat, because it's just, for some reason, psychologically, you want to keep everything a little bit tighter, and it results in less of an interesting paint, in my opinion. A million ways to paint. There's people who think they paint the only way people should paint. How I paint. Because it helps, it works for me. Okay, just rough, arbitrary brush strokes. This is cool black. We got the shape of the lemon. Come down this side. Cool. Nice soft edge down here. There's no reason to keep it sharp, even though, you know, technically it is sharp in a photograph. Why bother? If it's not in your focal point, there's no reason to make it sharp. So a little bit warmer, dark here, but we're just bring it. Oops. Here, this is just a shadow of the lemon. I'm just doing it like this because that's what I have in my brush. I just want to let myself remind myself where it is. It might be a little bit different on the photo that you see. Kind of gone too dark in the background, but let's see. All right, I love this blue on the right hand side. I'm going to try to mix that. It's just the dirty blue, so ultramarine blue, little bit of transparent red earth. Okay, put the two together. I like that value. Notice I said value and not color, because colors, there's no reason to match exact color. There's just no point. Dirty blue, non-chromatic blue, in a specific value. And mix that, and it'll look great. This cross over a little bit. These shapes are entirely based on your environment. I have blue walls in this room. That's kind of what you're seeing. Stripe in the middle is the door that I have to the studio. Over here, a little bit lighter. Notice everything's still rough. I'm still using the hog's hair brush. Beautiful shape down here. Amazing shape. Kind of comes up. And then there's an amazing shape here. So it's all about shapes, never an object. I'm going to bring this across. So I have a reference. Of course, there's this one there. Comes in. Oh. We'll get more paint on this soon. I get into the synthetic brushes. Man, I tell you, it's so hard to think or talk and paint at the same time. Crazy. Oh. There's gray blue up top too. Gotta darken the value a little bit though. Yeah, use this here. There's a gradation here from a darker blue to a lighter blue, kind of like over here. I'll take advantage of that. Use this here as well. Not only are there a lot of cool shapes, reflected items, but there's quite a bit of gradient going on. Lighten it a little bit. And everything I'm saying is pretty much what's in my head when I'm painting. A little bit here, a little bit there. Change the value, change the temperature. Pretty simple in this brain of mine. We'll have to worry about this line later when I get into the synthetics. There. Move into the yellow chroma a little bit. Kind of. Okay, that's a bit bright. I get that door reflection in. But to everyone else, it's just, if I hadn't told you at a door, you wouldn't even know. Just there in context of the reflection. All right. I definitely made a mistake with the background, so I'm just get off a little bit. And this is the ebb and flow of painting. Make a decision. You think it's right at the time. You gotta change the value. The only reason I'm taking paint off is it'll just be easier to put the paint on. New value. All right, get out the palette knife. Make it easier. Start off with more of a cool black. Put this in as a reminder. Yeah, I like that value. Let's see over here. That's dark edge. Yeah, maybe a little bit darker. There you go. I use more of a synthetic brush because the paint goes on and off the synthetic brush a little bit better. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat. Doesn't make a distraction. Adds for a great tangent sometimes. Whether it's about this painting or some problems you've come up with, you've worked through a painting. Some of these will just be gestural marks in the background as we come across. Mix that same black but more warm. A lot of mixing, a lot of testing. Pretty much what or how my painting style is. And you can see on the palette, of course, this is a my warm black. This is my cool. This is my warm. Be a bit warm, but I'll play with it. Bring the cool all the way around. All paintings go through this horrific look. We'll move into the form. There we go. That way I can get this nice dark shadow in there. Or darker than the background. It's a cool light that I'm using. It's about 5000K on the still life, so I'll make the shadow a little bit warm. Not red warm, but I mean, we could always go there if we wanted to. It was a bit off. I want darker than what's there. Dark enough. That's good. Darker. And the only way to darken it with my palette is with the ultramarine blue and the transparent red earth. If you had black, it'd be perfect. Be able to darken as much as you want. You just need to warm it up a little bit. I live with that. Keep the brush stroke soft, a little bit of variety. Matches down here. Not as dark. The tabletop will always be a little bit lighter in shadow just because it's a lighter ready. Right, we want to have some fun though. We can put a little bit of variety in this warm shadow by maybe we'll make this edge cool because it's the darkest. Totally up to you. Variety is this life. It just gives it a little more life rather than having it one standard value temperature. Playing with the shapes until I'm happy with it. All right. The shadow on a piece of wood is a little bit, what do you want to say, disconnected. I will get the weight off the brush. Not bad, maybe a little bluer. And by bluer, I mean in my head, I'm really thinking darker. Here, the lips, might as well put them in here, just as a reminder. Could feather this into that. Background and foreground, foreground and background. Just to create a little more interest. We don't need sharp edges. Go back into this dark. Oh. Alright, that's probably enough about the background. Let's focus in on the lemon a little bit. Get an appropriate brush size. Get a couple. Alright. Lemon, it's like a sphere. It's pretty easy. Getting lemon, apples, and oranges is always a great exercise. Shadows of a lemon are green. One's green anyway, and the bottom is, because of the influence of the wood, a little bit warmer. So a warm gray on the orangey side. The yellow of choice is Hansa yellow, medium. Throw in some transparent orange. What we got here? Oh, that's our shadow. Let's get this shape back here. We got this nubbin up there. Well, actually, we got to get a little more red, so I'm going to use this transparent orange and mix it in. You can always throw in a little cad red, see what it does. Pinked it up a little bit. Good for the top area. Oven. Cross. This orange does a C pattern. Kind of in there. The way I put this in here, down here, knowing that I'm going to have to lighten it. Reflected light. Like how that. Soft. Lighten that a little bit. Go back more into the yellow. So you do see a little bit of cad red medium or cad yellow medium right there. I think that's been on my palette for 3 years. I've stopped using cads. I accidentally dipping it into it here and there. A bit more yellow over on this side. Yeah, after a while you get more sensitive. It might be hard to see in the photo in the top right there that I took. But it's just a matter of getting your eyes sensitive to seeing temperature or variety in nuances in color, I guess you could say. And then we'll move into the greeny aspect of it. I could use, yeah, let's do it for some Viridian, because it's a nice cool green Viridian. And being lit. Put a cool here. That comes across video. Cool here. A little darker. Value. The Viridian. Easy to darken a Viridian, just throw in more Viridian. And now you can see I'm slowing down a little bit more, taking my time, trying to find where all these shapes are. Excellent. Here. Lighten that mixture, go back into my orange. Back into that. Maybe a little bit darker, but now light on that nub comes up. Use some of this mixture with the Viridian in it to do the shadow on the nub. Just all shapes, right? You can paint shapes. Golden. And red earth in there. Mixture's getting kind of thin. I'll mix. Yeah, unfortunately. So, thing about having a palette you use all the time, you can remember what exactly you put in everything and remix it. No problem. All right. Dark enough. Darken it up. Viridian. Transparent red earth. Get it on your brush. That's good. Dark there. Dark. Squint, I can see the shape, and squinting is great for shapes. You can see the shape. Next trick is just to paint it. I think I want to get this core value in here that I marked in with this back there. Quite a dark mixture, so I'll use my yellow, my orange, a bit of viridian, but I'll warm it up. Has that orange? Has an oranginess too. Quite interesting. Look at that. Gold, green. A little green to me. I think I'm gonna warm it up more. This is a Gamblin transparent orange. Unfortunately, it's not something you can really buy in acrylics, but amazing color in terms of its chromaticity and its warmth. It's a man-made color, so it really holds its saturation when you mix it with white. So if you're an oil painter, I would suggest you look into it. It's expensive though, but a tube will last you. Might be a bit dark for up there. Get a little more orange, white. So just beside this green, I see a little bit of more warmth and a little bit lighter value. So if you squint, those values are close, but they're not the same. I wanted something a little bit lighter. But I didn't want something too light. I still needed it in the shadow family. Dark underneath there. A smaller brush, and I will move into just the shadow of the top of this area here. Quite dark. You don't want to go too dark though. Hey Jazz W, how you doing? Got any questions for me? Keep me entertained while I keep you guys entertained. Let's see here. Nice. Off like that. Side there's a very fine line where you see the edge of the lemon reflected. Not much. There is. Well, I can't believe how much I'm losing my voice just talking. Real. Light gray there. We'll go into the lemon. Bit too dark. I mean, too light. You don't want this reflection competing with the lemon itself. I don't see it as a lighter reflection, but even if I did, I would paint the reflection lighter. I mean, darker, so it doesn't compete with the lemon. I'm using this kind of a dirty yellow green. Nice. Maybe get more yellow in this one area. Chroma, just kind of pop a little bit. Like, step back. Live with that for now. Work on the working on top of this painter a little bit. That value, I would say, is a bit too warm. We'll darken it with, well, not darken it, sorry, cool it with the ultramarine blue, but that darkens it. I gotta lighten it with a little bit of white, and that's way too dark. I wish I was one of those artists that could paint the correct value each time. Jazz, what is the lemon sitting on top of? It's kind of upside down vase. But it's the reason I bought it at a thrift store is because it's shiny. It has an engraving on it. I can't remember what it's for, but I'd never use it as a vase because the gradating or the engraving doesn't really mean anything to me. So it's good for just painting on. Whether it's a vase for flowers or it's a vase for stuff to just sit on. What's this shape? Okay. Lose it, you bring it back, you lose it, you bring it back. And that got a little bit too light. Got away from me. My values got a little bit away. I'll probably have to some of the reflections on top. There you go. And I'm overlapping a little bit because what I can do now is I can come in and come in with the background color. Cooler. And just cut in where I need cuts in. And the other one's a little bit warmer. Give and take. The amount of time you spend on it, depend on how much you care about it. Just lighten that a little bit here. There we go. That's all we'll spend on that for now. Move back to the vase itself. I will go for, let's make a big pile of black. Ultramarine blue in my burnt sienna. Since I'm mixing that a lot, I will do a pre-mix. This blob over here is a pre-mix of violet from a previous painting. So I will just leave that on my palette because I'll eventually use violet. I use violet quite a bit. And it's just ultramarine blue and my permanent alizarin crimson. Dark is quite dark back there where this will help define the shape of the vase itself. Out. There you go. Beautiful. Dark on this. You can see once we get the stronger shapes in there, everything starts to come together. Just here with that line. If you're sticking with me, for those that are still here, I know painting can't be the best thing to keep you awake. My daughter and I used to watch art tutorials, instructions as well, because she said she wanted to be able to fall asleep. It was a great bonding experience. Shape there. You gotta look for the nuances in these shapes, but you'll see them. Soft edge there. A soft edge here. How about seeing Putting the darker values in throughout the vase, and it's kind of starting to come around, starting to come along. Excellent. Mixing a light gray here. Value beside this. And it is very blended in this area on the photo and also what I'm seeing in real life. But too late. We don't have to do that. I'm not really into the blending aspect of it. My brush stroke will blend it as we go. On this, over this side, it's interesting. It has a violet tint to it that I'm seeing. I'll put some violet in here. Maybe let's enhance it a little bit. It's subtle, but I think I want to capture the violet in there for a sense of variety. Trying to get those shapes. It's easier to do these shapes from a photograph because you could trace these shapes with a Sharpie and then you know exactly where you're painting. When you're painting from life, it's a little trickier. I mean, the shapes are still there. You just got to visualize it instead. Put a violet in there. Got some funky blue going on there. Like deep funky blue, and I don't know what it is. Oh, there's some poster board attached to my wall. It's just the strangest things that you see. A little bit too bright. A little ultramarine blue to kill it a little bit. Right, so shape like that. Here like this. Fix that edge. I didn't like how dark it was. See what we're going to do with those later. Bring that up. It doesn't really come up here, but get up there anyway. Go up to the top part. The vase, which was the base. Grapes. And this will all come together. Once you put the highlights on this, it won't really, this looks like a dog's breakfast right now. I know. But as soon as you put highlights on it, all of a sudden it'll go, oh, neat. There you go, it's a vase. I'm gonna put a little bit more green in that reflection of that lemon. Just to disassociate it a little bit with the lemon itself. I have an ochre-y sense. Weird one. But who might argue? It's just a reflection. This won't be done tonight. I'm going to probably go for, what time is it now? 7:50? I'll probably go to 8:15 or so. But I'll post the final painting on Instagram when it's done. But right now, I'm just working through the shapes. Hopefully we'll get to the highlights and you can see what I mean. A nice, beautiful light gray blue. That is too vibrant. This cerulean blue hue that I use. All it is a phthalo blue and white mixed together conveniently in a tube. So it's quite intense. Quite a halo with this blue. And I'm using that now because cerulean blue itself is too expensive. And it doesn't have a lot of power. Cobalt blue is expensive. Too expensive for my tastes. And the hue is in my price point. That I don't have to worry about it. And it creates it has a great punch to it too. No blue in it. Okay. Nice. Okay. Cool gray here. It's all a step by step. I hate to equate it, but if you've ever done paint by numbers, essentially that's what this is. But you're doing it in your head instead of having everything laid out for you with the numbers. Dark. And the beauty of Impressionism, put something there. You get a right spot and general right value, you will get the effect you want. Nice dark here. And maybe we'll throw in some of these darks as well, just so. Just now in here. Create these ripples. And I don't know how many ripples we actually have, but kind of irrelevant. As long as they kind of look like they're working. Because if you didn't have this reference photo on the screen, you would not know how many ripples this vase has. Right, step back, look at it with fresh eyes. Yeah, it's coming along. I got some funkiness in here I got to work out. Sort of a gray blue, but so cool gray. Nice little lines happening. Eyes too dark. Lighten it up. Beautiful thing about white is it cools down. Your mix. Great if you want it cooler. Not so great if you want it warmer. But then again, all you got to do is add some warmth to it after if you were to, if you're looking for warmth. Here. This is all this really is. It's just weird stuff. If anything, I would say shiny objects, reflective objects, are the easiest thing to paint. Just because you already have the shapes laid out for you. Yeah, we'll leave that light for now. Well, it's kind of bugging me. Gray, cool gray. I like how light it is up there, but down here it's a little subdued. I want to bring you up to the lemon. Bring you up. So if this is really, really bright, I'm going to detract and bring it down. So even in the photo, let's add a light to the right of this vase, and there's a huge bright highlight here. Chances are I wouldn't paint it in. Or I'd paint it in and see how it looks. If it took away from the lemon, then I would remove it. There are some bright highlights, so we'll see how that goes. Whether or not I put them in as bright as they show them is another thing. You can always start off dull and work your way up, or you can just blast them in, whatever you want. It's all funny games till someone loses an eye, right? All right, let's get this a little bit lighter. A cool light, so I'll make the highlights a little bit blue, bluish, kind of cool. Here, there, this violet. Cool. They're square because the light I'm using is rectangular. Let's see. The reflection looks square, it's just the angle that the rectangle is reflecting on the vase. Big and small. So what I'm saying out loud is pretty much what I'm thinking in my head. Big to small. We have like 3 dots. Look the thingy right there. Really don't know what this looks like yet because I haven't stepped back. I'm just putting in reflections, kind of where they are. Step back in a second. And that's what I love about painting shiny objects is all of a sudden you step back and bang, there it is. There's one here, so specular highlight. Another one will fall just below it at inner radius, and then another one on this outer radius. They'll always follow in line. Another one kind of here that's thinner. Why use a smaller brush when I can use what I have? A little bit richer, thinner. This one that comes below it. This one that comes. Let's have a look here. Yeah, not bad. Tweaking the highlights, tweaking the different values within it, but overall, yeah, I can live with that. Live with that. Work a little bit on the wood that this is sitting on. Just an easy remix. Some white, transparent red earth, and my gambling orange. I'm using oil paint. You haven't figured that out already. I use primarily gambling paints, whether it be their artist grade or their 1980 brand. I'm trying to get this shape of this bell here. Using the light mixture right now to really bring out that and soften some edges as well. Shadows start coming around. Back. Trying to get light here. And we'll darken this up to do the shadow underneath those little ripples. Gotta make it look like it's sitting down on the piece of wood. So I darken with the transparent red earth and the ultramarine blue and they're quite dark, even from life. They almost look black in the photograph. But what I'm doing, I'm gonna leave it not so dark. Not as dark, I should say. Still dark. Warm. Need to cool on the shadow. When it comes up. This one. Keep it soft. No, they look kind of hard. In the photo, there's no reason why they need to be too hard. We'll go back in with that light mixture that I had. Let's push and pull, right? Painting is nothing more than a series of corrections. I forget who said that. I read that somewhere. And it was one of those epiphanies, like, oh my God, that just changed everything. Makes my life so much more easier. Make a decision, you put it in. You realize it needs to be fixed. Fix it. One decision after another. After a while, you get better at it. Excellent. What else we got? Could make the lemon a little more interesting. And by interesting, I mean a little more form. So I'm going to push, although this is our main shadow form, continue this greener one up here. A darker. Maybe put some transparent red earth in it. I'm going to get darker value. Not as dark as down here. That's nice. Notice how I always scoop my paint up. You can get close to that in the camera if it'll focus or not. Probably not. Anyway, there's a nice bead on that brush. And that's what I like about synthetics, is it allows you to paint, put more paint on top of other paint. This here is a little bit too light, so I will start darkening that up. And it's more of a green shadow, subdued, not dark enough. Yeah, that's a bit harsh. Want some yellow to lighten it and to maintain the hue, hue. So many different things. You got a little bit too dark on me. Paint over it. A better shot here. See that? 7. Some more warmth, lemony warmth up top. I like. go really strong yellowy orange underneath this right hand end nub of the lemon. So going for some yellow and some of that transparent orange. Go for a little more heat, a little more orange. And the only reason I'm using the orange because it has a lot of chrome in it. I could go with the Cad Red, but I know that this orange has so much chrome in it that it's going to do the job that I want. So this is where knowing your pigments that you use is important. Let the light down there comes up a little bit more. It might be that bright right here. But over to the right, it really starts to reduce. For controlling your values isn't a little better. It's up a little. Where that reflection is. Back in with some dark. Establish. Where that is. Now for the lemon, I mean, mostly it's predominantly strong yellows, oranges, some greens in the shadow, reflective light coming on really hot. But to prove to you the color doesn't matter, I'm going to start throwing in some violets. Why? Well, violet and yellow really go well together. This is my mixture of violet, white to it, of course. Bring it to value. And just doing a test here. I'm going to kind of do, it's going to be the transition between shadow and light. Well, why? Because of variety. The more variety you have in a painting, the more interesting. That could arguably be too light. Yeah, definitely too light. One extreme to another. But it's not worth putting in unless it's right. So, get on it. So, I don't like how this is yellow up top. Gonna warm that up. And some, well, warm it up with that orange instead of the yellow. Got that nice, let's give some back form to it. This is where it gets good. Well, I hope you're right. This is start paying attention. I like your confidence in me, Jazz. For some reason. Go. Here as well. I'm gonna fix this other area here. Shadow, just working right. And it's a subtle thing. It's quite crazy. Subtle it is. There is kind of a light. A little later. So for the highlight on the lemon, counterintuitive, it's a really, I added some blue to the yellow mixture and added a lot of white. Value's a bit off. And why did I do that? Because it's a cool light. This isn't pure white, although it kind of looks like it. Right? It's far from it. If you compare this to that, might be hard. But you can see how off that is. This mixture is like a 1 or a 2. That was a bit too much there, I think. Just playing with it. Bring it in, bring it out. Get some of this green mixture here. Green and lemon. Just amazing. Like the blues you see in African skin. It's just so fabulous. Good. Try to up the chromaticity, saturation of these colors. Good. That value good here. I have to go over that one there. Good saturation. There we go. Adjust the value so I can fix that. A little bit of this here. That violet is doing well here. The dark later version goes. Going back with this green. Up here, we could go a little more chromatic here. Just kind of where that specular highlight is. We'll make sure here, see how that goes. As long as it doesn't take away from the lemon. What? My focal points, I want to be lemon, but I want everything else to stand out. Yeah. And you can't really see it, but I'm going to put it anyway. Say this lemon would reflect a bit of yellow there. Where there's a protrusion going on. Make it too much. Also put some higher value reflections on the, excuse my face. Ah, there it is. These are kind of like in design school. Called these bird crap. This is where the bird would crap on your car. And it would leave that specular highlight that you can't get anywhere, anyway else. So it's a nuance. So the whole highlight isn't like that. It's just a part of the highlight that you put down previously that's slightly has this dot. Have the smaller brush now. We can go in and redraw on some of these lines, come off. Thanks, Jazz. If it doesn't work out, make lemonade. Yeah, the violet shadow has a nice variety to it. It really breaks up the lemon itself. And thanks regarding the reflections. Let's see here. We're gonna do this here like this. And it's just a matter of all just shapes, really. Putting the right value in. Lighter there. Slightly lighter. Something there. Here. Sometimes you can't. Yeah, but we'll put in a very small reflective light here. Go over it a couple times because that first run was a bit too high value. There we go. All right. Overall, not bad. I will continue to work on the vase itself, and I'll post the finished piece on Instagram. More or less, you have the idea of what's happening. Do a little zoom in just in case anybody has some additional questions while we do this. For the lemon, you can see the violets in it. You can see the greens in it. You can see the orangey siennas in it. Right, and as we go down the vase, it really came together with all those highlights. And at the bottom, it's just a mess. But it doesn't matter because in context, whoops, oh yeah, let's zoom in real close. There we go. Soft edges throughout as much as I can. There you go, I tried. It works out. So again, just follow the shapes and the right values. Oh, you're welcome, Jazz. If anybody has any last minute questions, please shoot. You can always reach me through email at mrking, Mr. King at michaelking.ca. Drop by my Instagram at michaelking.ca. Of course, there's my YouTube channel with a ton of videos on it. And if you ever need a mentorship, hit me up at Patreon/MichaelKingArt. Keeping the value down here, I think, is going to be important. Might have to give one specular area of interest, kind of where the light direction is coming. The lemon, I don't know if I'll do much with it now. I won't do all the stipples that you see on lemons. Then you get the sense of the lemon as it is. I might have to darken this area to let it sit down a little bit more, but we'll see. The background, I may make it obviously more cooler, more warmer. I think the background will have to be lightened a tiny bit just so I can get a sense of the shadow. I'm going to redo that. But you'll be able to see it on my Instagram whenever it's finished. Check frequently. So, thank you very much. M. Lynn, your demonstrations are so helpful. Thank you. You're very much. I'm very glad you enjoy them. I think Thursday evenings are going to be kind of a standard for now. I know it's really late for others, but they always be able to catch the replay in the morning. Hopefully, I'll be able to go on the weekend or a weekday in the morning so everyone can catch them. But definitely tell your friends. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, Colleen. I really appreciate that. All right, everyone. I'm going to say goodnight. Enjoy the evening. Cheers.